on August 19th, and we're calling to order this special meeting with Justice Services to discuss the restructuring of the probation side of Justice Services. And then we're also going to be looking at starting pay for the JDO position, as well as county policy regarding preferred certification pay.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you ready for me?
So we're ready for you to jump in unless
Okay.
Commissioner Corn has any preamble stuff.
We the people?
Sure.
I don't know where you're going with that.
Any kind of lead in? Questions?
No,
Salutations?
it's all yours.
All right, great. So kind of what has made me rethink how we have things is Will Hunter, who had been the assistant director for the last approximately 3 years, resigned his position and took a position with Cooney County as the director of their adult misdemeanor program down there. And so as I started thinking about that, I thought, and I'd even thought this a couple different times over the last 10 years since I've been director of a restructure where there would be, instead of having an assistant director, there would be a supervisor over the adult misdemeanor probation unit and a supervisor over the juvenile probation unit. And one reason for doing that is they're very specific disciplines. They each have their own specific academy at post. There's an adult misdemeanor certification, there's a juvenile probation certification, and they are different. There's some similarities to it, but they're different. So what I'm proposing to do is, instead of filling that assistant director position, I want to eliminate that position. And then what I'd like to do is move to have those one supervisor. If you look at the second page, I redid the organizational chart to reflect what my proposed organization would look like. And so you'll see under got you guys, the commissioners, and then me in the middle, and then the branch off over to the probation side on the left-hand side. And so I would create a juvenile probation office supervisor, and then I would create an adult misdemeanor supervisor. And by doing so, then that would make the units uniform. There would be 4 adult misdemeanor probation officers, one of which would be a supervisor. And then there would be 4 juvenile probation officers, because one position would be vacant, because I don't want to lose that position by eliminating the assistant director. I would not fill that position, but it would become a vacant juvenile probation officer position, and that way it would keep those 2 disciplines uniform. I'm not asking for additional positions or additional staff. This would encompass the staff that I already have and the number of positions that I already have.
Okay, because it looks like you have additional staff.
Yeah.
The way the org chart.
Yeah, but if you notice though, the assistant director position is gone. It's been eliminated.
Right, you took one out and it looks like you added 2. It looks like you added the 2 supervisors instead of the
Right, but
assistant director.
well, there won't, what I envision, I always like to promote within.
Okay.
One of the people, so of the 4 adult misdemeanor officers, one of those folks
gonna have
would
that
be move up into that
supervisor.
supervisor position. So it's
Okay.
not an additional person, it's just taking one from this pool of folks.
Okay.
After we do go through an interview process, and then the same thing with the juvenile probation.
Okay.
One of these three current people, I think really, I'm not sure, once I send it out, I'm not sure who all's qualified to apply for that currently, but then one of those people would likely be selected and put into that position. I know Brian, when he and I discussed it, he thought there may be a need to open it up to the public, so the public could apply. So I guess we can discuss that a little bit.
So one thing we did with facilities is we just did, we added like the word senior behind one of the people so that you have a senior. Yeah. So then you're not creating a job title to where you'd have to open it up to the public. You're just changing the job description or whatever. It's not my forte. I'll leave it up to Jonathan. But
Right.
you're just kind of, you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're
Because
saying.
if you create, which is what you're kind of doing, then I think you do have to open it up And then what are we gonna do? That creates a problem.
It could create a problem.
Yeah, especially if someone else is better qualified, and then we're gonna add a
It would
person.
it would at least cause problems on the adult misdemeanor side, because if we don't have additional positions there. I
Right.
guess what we would have to do if that
You
were
do
to
have
happen
vacant.
is we do have that vacant position that I guess we could swing that
Right,
either direction as needed.
right.
Um,
So what are your thoughts on just renaming a job title or changing a job title or something instead of creating a position?
I think
So we don't have to open it up.
Yeah, I think what Director Stoltz is saying from an organizational structure and management approach makes a ton of sense. And it hinges on my current understanding of the specialized nature, training, and requirements of those two sides, both juvenile probation and adult misdemeanor. Thank you. So it's given that they seem to be two completely distinct entities with its own requirements for certification and specialized knowledge. Is that correct?
Right.
So then the person who should be leading that should be familiar with the requirements and have intimate
Right.
knowledge, and ideally promote from within. That's always best, usually works best for an organization in general. Does it maybe create some more administrative work if in fact there is a requirement, it's a new position, you got to open up to the public? Sure, but does that mean you have to, I mean, you're going to select a qualified applicant. If the most qualified applicant is from within, then it's just letting that process run its course. I'm not presently aware of a statutory requirement for a certain length of time for a new position to be open and available to the public. Maybe that's a question we need to look at and get answered. Off the top of my head, it seems like it's just maybe additional administrative steps, but I mean, that's why my department positions exist. We exist for that administrative stuff. So it's really just kind of normal business as usual. But I think really thinking about the organization's needs, there's specialized, unique training, knowledge, and skill set that does not completely overlap. Is that correct?
Correct.
So then it makes sense that whoever's leading that should have intimate knowledge of those two distinct, separate tracks. And it's kind of my initial take.
Yeah,
given your
no, and
presentation.
I agree. I
Good with
think,
that. I'm just asking.
right,
do we want to
what the name,
create-
what do we want to create the job title? to be?
Yes, or do we just want to, I don't know what the proper term is, what we did with facilities. We didn't create a new job opening, we
Yeah,
just
we
changed the name or something.
We right-sized is how I would probably frame it. We update, you know what, in that example, the work was already being done. We were just getting the paperwork to catch up to describe what was already being done. So it was an
Right.
accurate reflection. This, I think, is different because it is taking one,
No one's doing
position.
that job.
it's taking an assistant director position, splitting the responsibilities out for two new supervisory positions. So I think it is a little different, but I think that's okay.
Yeah, I agree that it's a good example, I think, because there's a nuanced difference where with facilities, we had someone who had been performing and expected to perform duties beyond what the job description was. And so then, yeah, we right-sized the job description to the actual duties. Where in this case, we are literally saying we want to restructure this side of the department. And so I think that when we create new positions, I don't think, I'm not aware of any statutory obligation. I just think it's the right approach to say, we open up the position so that the county's always ultimately selecting the most qualified, best fit applicant. And, you know, if that means that we have internal candidates and one of them rises to the top, that's excellent.
Right.
But as an organization, to not say that we're going to look for the best applicant, I think is a disservice to.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think we're safe because we do have that one swing position that,
Yeah,
say we do, we open it up and two of these guys apply. We get like 5 applications from the public and one guy has, he's come from somewhere else. He's got a ton of experience in the exact same thing. Dynamite guy, and that's the guy we want to choose. Then I think we have some wiggle room with that vacant position because there's nothing that says that it has to be a juvenile probation officer. In fact, that's how we ended up with our 4th adult misdemeanor probation officer, is we had a gentleman retire last year who was a juvenile probation officer, but the caseloads at that time were offset. We were getting way more adult cases than we were juvenile, so we moved that position over to be an adult misdemeanor probation officer versus a juvenile. So we have that flexibility. There's nothing that says.
You have that flexibility on the misdemeanor side because you already have 4 officers.
We
there.
would. The misdemeanor side it grows more rapidly than the juvenile side, so it would.
So we would be adding a position if we hired from outside for your
Right,
probation
but
supervisor.
we wouldn't be adding additional staff because we'd be filling this vacant position that we have here.
I'm talking about this one over
I know,
there.
but we would move that vacant position over.
You could
here.
do,
Yeah, there's nothing that says we can't move that. That's where it gives us that wiggle room.
okay, so I'm not understanding something.
Okay.
So if we open this up and we hire a person that's not on this list for your
Right.
misdemeanor probation officer
Yep.
supervisor, right?
Yep.
So now you have a new person and 4 officers below them.
Yep.
So now we've got 5 on that
Right.
branch instead of 4.
Yes.
Are you saying that you're able to take one of those if you hire from within on this side, for instance? Would you be able to take one of these and fill that vacancy there, or are you going to end up with 5?
We'd end up with 5.
That's my issue.
Yeah, we would end up with 5 and then we would have 3 juvenile.
Right, so does that work
Oh,
for you?
unless, that will work. I guess the dilemma, and I think it would be very unlikely, the dilemma would be we open them both up and we
got
decide to
2.
hire both from outside.
Right, and
Well,
then that's a dilemma.
then that's a conundrum, but I think the odds of that happening are probably pretty
Okay,
slim. I guess if that happened, then I guess we'd have to tackle that hurdle when we get to it, but I would not anticipate that.
okay, I just
Being-
don't want to
No,
make sure that we're not growing government.
Yeah, and no,
because
and
that's
that is certainly not my
position.
intention.
Okay,
No, I do not want to grow government either. I agree with you on that 100%.
yeah.
And honestly, we don't need that extra person per se. I mean, we could certainly, and one thing we could even look at doing if we had to do it that way, they can become dually certified and they can do both positions. They can do juvenile probation and adult misdemeanor. They just have to go to both academies.
okay.
We actually have several people that are duly certified for juvenile detention and adult misdemeanor or juvenile probation, because when we have had openings over the years, we typically have hired within. So we've taken a certified juvenile detention officer, they've moved over, filled either a juvenile or adult probation spot, then they have to go to that academy, but we've been able to maintain both certifications. So then they can still, when we're shorthanded, go back over and help out in detention and they're still certified.
Okay,
So yeah, my intention is definitely not to grow government.
I didn't think it was.
No, it's not. It's not. I think it'll work. I think it would be a very unique situation if it occurred.
Right.
And then I guess we would probably have to have a meeting and figure out what we wanted to do with it, but I would think it would be
Right,
very,
yeah.
very unlikely. Certainly possible. Nothing's not,
Yeah.
anything's possible.
And the cross-certification, kind of cross-train capability is really nice organizationally, that you guys could have more flexibility if needed.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, it's good. I agree that we should, to understand what the options are, what the potential implications are. It's just if we don't open up new positions, not only do we risk the potential of missing out on the best fit, but we also then create a stigma in the community that says,
Yeah. Works.
the county is a closed system and it's not worth trying to apply, and we don't want to create that image, so.
But we also like to present that we like people to start in detention because that's a very good foundation for any of the other positions, especially if you're a younger person or you don't have a lot of experience in it, working in juvenile detention. The experience and the knowledge you gain from working in detention will catapult you into being successful very
No,
quickly on
that
the other
makes sense.
side.
It makes sense. And as an internal applicant, I think it's fair and reasonable to say that, an internal applicant should have really good odds because of the knowledge that they have and the value that they can bring.
Right. And they're a known entity.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting.
Right.
You
So
already know the
that's all
performance.
factored into the evaluation process. It's just a matter of making it truly a fair and open process.
But when I do get ready to do these interviews, if you guys approve this today, I am going to have at least one person that doesn't know anybody that's interviewing, so that there is one totally unbiased person, and I'd like to actually have 2, people that don't know them, because we do a panel interview, that don't know anything about them. They may know them, but they don't know anything about their work performance, they don't know anything, and then that person's got to come in and sell themselves and say, this is why I should be hired, this is the knowledge, this is the skill set that I have, and this is why you should hire me to fill that position. And then they need to convince those people,
Yeah.
as well as me, that I'm the best person for that job.
Okay.
Great.
Question for HR, grade and step, director versus supervisor.
So if you go to the next page, Ron, I've got that broken down for you.
We anticipated your question.
And so I've got what it would look like once the new budget goes, because I can't fill these positions until after October 1 anyway, because when Will retired, or not retired, when he left, usually if somebody's going to retire, we anticipate that, and we do an enhancement in the previous year's budget to compensate for their PTO. Well, he didn't even know he was leaving until about a month before he left. He had like 270 hours of PTO on the books plus 480 hours of CAT. So I can't hire anybody until October because I don't have the budget to be able to hire somebody. I've got to pay out. That's all been paid out, and that's coming out of this year's budget. In fact, I may even run it just a tad little bit in the red. It's going to be really close.
Understood.
So we've got a month basically to get things put out there, do the interview process, get those people selected, and then the start date would not be until October 1. So that's why it started as October 1, because they'll come in under the new pay scale.
Okay.
So as you can see, the current director, what his grade and step would have been and what that yearly salary was, he would have been, with what you guys just approved, he would have moved up to $50.62 per hour, which is $105,000 a year, roughly, a little bit more than that. The JPO position, if it comes in, it would be the same as an adult misdemeanor PO, if even way, they're on the same step or same grade and step. And so you can see the difference. There's a difference between $45,260 between those two positions. So if I eliminate that position, backfill with someone else in this position, that saves the county $45,260 for that. If I bump these folks up to a JS4, step 3, you can see what that cost would be per person, so that would be double. So it would be approximately about a $10,000 increase over what those, and I took the highest paid person of this group that's in there, and I calculated it on that. So if it's a person that made less than that, then it would even be more of a saving, more of a difference, a lesser difference.
Okay, so what I'm seeing is what you're proposing is doing away with the assistant director at 106 or 105,000 a year,
Yep.
and you're wanting to add 2 officer supervisors at 60,000 a year.
No, that would be no, I would want to hire two supervisors at $78,957 a year.
So that's an increase of like
about
50
$10,000, because they're already current employees. They're only making $2 or $3 less than that now.
Can I restate that a little differently?
Please.
My brain works a little different. I don't know if it'll, maybe it'll align more with what you're looking at.
It is. You're replacing one with 2.
Right.
But they're already current employees, so
So
they're
they already have a cost of approximately $60,000 a year. So let's say, really what we're saying is, right now, you've got a cost of $105,000 for the
I see.
position
So
that would be eliminated.
Right now, they're making 60,000.
Well, actually, that would be so that would be if they come in at a step 1 for a brand new. So the people that are qualified to do this job are making closer to 70,000 now, or maybe even a little over 70, because they're a JS3 step 6 or 7. So that's why it's only approximately about a $10,000 increase.
You said you took the highest paid person out of this pool? Is that what you said?
That's what I based it on, and that person's already making about 74,000 a year.
So you're saying if you take one person out of each pool
Yep,
and you promote them,
Yep.
there's an approximate increase of $10,000
Right.
annually.
right.
And then if we have that added to the cost of one entry-level juvenile probation officer, if we add all that together, the total annual savings would be around
About
$35,000.
$35,000.
Is that?
Right. So that would
We all have
actually be.
different ways of getting
Yeah.
to that
Right,
same
so-
point, though.
Yeah.
We built the math.
But
formula.
overall, it would save our pay budget from what it is right now, approximately $35,000. It'd be less than.
Okay.
That part I knew.
I'm going to turn the page to see what my next question is going to be.
The next question are the job descriptions. So I rewrote the job descriptions for each one of those two positions, which I had provided Rosemary with a copy when Brian and I first met. But I'll send them both to you electronically.
Perfect.
As soon as I get back to the office, then you can review them and do what you guys need to do. So they've gone through that official vetted process. I'm not sure what all of you have to do, but I'll let you do your thing.
Yep.
And then, yeah, so that's questions.
I don't have any. It sounds like things, we've discussed everything that I had questions on, other than the fact that just by some weird situation, we get
Yeah.
2 new outside applicants, and then maybe one of them might want to go to patrol deputy or something.
Either that or we reintegrate, if they're one of the dual certified folks, we reintegrate them back into juvenile detention where we have openings.
Okay.
So there's ways to,
Right.
there are
Yeah,
options.
flexibility.
To your
in
point,
this.
you take a candidate pool and say, hey, we think you'd be a better fit over here,
Yeah.
see if they're interested.
Yeah.
But
So,
Yeah, the concern from an HR best practices standpoint with the recruitment and hiring process was, granted, each department manages that and each office manages that. HR just helps with the administrative posting to the applicable place. Really, it's an optics thing. So yes, you have to say, we're going to hire the best candidate, whoever that may be. Can't have any preconceived notions because that could lead to claims of, discriminatory treatment. And it's really just about the fairness of the process, not the outcome. Because the outcome, the answer is it's the most qualified candidate every time and always. So officially, for the record, it's a fair process and may the best candidate win. And that's kind of the way forward. That's just kind of the guardrails, and I'm confident that each office and department can get that done.
and one of the other thoughts that I had when I was thinking about all of this is on the detention side, there's positions to promote to, because we have FTOs, we have shift supervisors, and those are kind of, the shift supervisors are directly a promotional thing, but even the FTO, that gives them a little additional responsibility. There's a little extra compensation that comes with that. On the probation side, there's really just the director, and then we had the assistant director. And so this at least allows another position for folks to promote to, which if you talk to anybody, most people want to be able to promote. They want to be able to move up.
career growth.
And so this will help with employee retention, because at least they can look forward and go, oh, there's only one position to promote to, and there's 10 people that are qualified to do it. Where now at least the odds are a little better that they're going to be able to promote, because there is at least an additional position to promote to. And we do have FTOs on the probation side too, because we're all post-certified, just like the sheriff's office, and so we have to have FTOs to train to post standards. Our standards are different than what patrol standards are, but we still have standards that we have to train to that are governed by post.
Okay.
And I do see value in, because you have different certifications and different specialty areas of knowledge between the misdemeanor side versus the juvenile side. It seems logical to me that you guys would want to differentiate between those two and have those two paths. And
It's just become so much more specialized over the last few years. Used to, it wasn't,
Yeah.
but now, I mean, the academies have become very, very specific to those fields, and the standards are different.
litigation tends to create that over
Yes, it
time,
does.
doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Knock on wood, we've not had any litigation.
No, but I mean, industry,
Yes,
and
yeah.
litigation in the industry tends to lead to new
Yeah,
standards,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Commissioner Corn, from my perspective, this seems like a good organizational structure change. I think we've asked good questions and have good information, so I'm comfortable with where we're at on this piece. Do you have anything else that you're?
No.
You agree it looks like a good change?
I agree.
You guys have to do a motion and approve it, or is it, or just having your blessing on the record saying
We-
we're good to go?
I think we have to have a motion.
Yeah, I
have to
think we
approve
should take action on each one. So do you want to do that now, or do you want to go through everything and then come back at the end? And these are kind of independent
it. Okay,
items, I would say, unless you feel differently.
they're not
Yeah,
tied,
no,
they're not
however
tied
you-
together in any way.
Well, they're all kind of tied together.
Is it gonna change something if we voted in now? I guess is what I'm asking, to go ahead and approve this. Is it gonna affect any of this?
No.
Okay.
It won't modify any of your
Won't modify any of those.
proposed
Not on the probation. side.
compensations. Okay,
No, the other two things are more, at this point in time, more pertaining to detention.
okay.
The last item is an item that will affect this, but I'll deal with that and have it prepared for the next budget year. We'll talk about that in terms of the required versus preferred certifications.
Yeah,
But I want to address it on the detention side this year, because we will have the funds to be able to address it. Since we're a little late to the table, to address it on the probation side, we don't have that flexibility in our budget on the probation side because we don't have the open positions. So I really can't address it this year because it would be a bit of an, I did cut the numbers on it or crunch the numbers on it earlier, and it's about $60,000 to do the proposed, what the county policy says for required and preferred certifications, and we're just too late. It's already been approved, and so we're not able to address it this year. So this is kind of standalone for the probation side, so we can do that, and then the other two are kind of tied together.
gotcha. So then if I'm understanding correctly, sounds like the request on the table would be to change the organizational structure of Justice Services to replace the current Assistant Director position with a juvenile probation officer supervisor and an adult misdemeanor probation officer supervisor. And then to have the compensation be for those two new officers, starting at JS grade 4, step 3, and for the new job description to be finalized by working with HR. Does that sound like it covers everything?
JS G4S3?
JS grade 4, step 3, for the,
Is that
Yes.
good to go? Okay. All right. If you want me to make the motion, it won't be exactly like that, but I think it'll be in the ballpark.
go for it.
Given the information before us, I move to approve the restructuring of Justice Services by eliminating the Assistant Director of Juvenile Services and Probation and creating 2 supervisor positions, juvenile probation officer supervisor and adult misdemeanor probation officer supervisor at the pay scale of JS grade 4, step 3.
Step down in a second. Any public comment? Board deliberation?
I have none.
I think it's just inherent that a job description needs to be finalized with HR, and then the board's going to have to vote on that and approve that anyway. So I was just realizing that that's the normal process, so that should be.
Yep, and I'll send those electronically to Jonathan today as soon as I get back to the office.
And I'll double and triple check with my team about, well, I guess it actually would be when, after selection occurs, whoever is going in the position, we'll just have to really make sure we analyze what their current pay and
Yep.
compensation is to make sure that it fits within this model. I think it's okay to make the recommendation as the board has with the stated graded in step. And then we'll figure out the details because it'll depend on the individual who's getting that position,
Yeah.
where they're at with their career progression.
Yeah, that
So-
was kind of a question I had, is because
Mm-hmm.
the motion doesn't say recommend. The motion said we're gonna create these two new positions at that pay scale.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up and thinking about it. Should probably be careful to definitively say, because it could be somebody with greater time and service, meaning they maybe have a higher step. I don't know.
Yes.
We're not going to know that till we
We
get,
won't know till we
till we get
hire
the
'em.
name.
Do you have to
So should
mention
we
the pay
just-
scale
Well, not
in
the step,
motion?
the
So we
grade.
just say it's a
The grade.
JS4?
Yeah.
That is
So-
the correct
Yeah,
grade.
because grade
Okay.
is tied to the position.
Yeah.
Step has to do more with the individual, their experience.
So that's where HR can help with what steps. So if
Correct.
if we redo the motion to just have it be grade JS4, the other thing I just realized that I didn't mention at the beginning was we probably also need to say with an effective date of October 1st, because we want it to be under the new fiscal year.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't afford to hire somebody before then anyway, because I have to.
Sure, but we have to give an effective
Yes,
date,
absolutely.
otherwise it's
Yep,
assumed to be
yep.
immediate, which would
Right.
create a problem
That could create
budgetarily.
Yep.
So.
Only for him.
Only for me. Well, for all of us. If it becomes a problem for me, then it becomes a problem for you.
becomes our problem.
And then it becomes really my problem.
So do you want to vote this one down and then just start over?
Yep.
Okay. Roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Cohen?
No.
Commissioner Donkey?
No. And if you'd like to make a new motion.
Oh, I would.
We're good at this.
Practice makes perfect, right? I'll go ahead and make the motion that we are going to restructure the Bonner County Justice Services on the probation side and misdemeanor side by eliminating the assistant director position and creating two new positions, being juvenile probation officer supervisor and adult misdemeanor probation officer supervisor, and placing them in the correct grade and step, being JS grade 4, step to be determined, effective October 1st
Of this year.
of 2025.
Step down second.
I forgot who I was working with for a second.
Any public comment? Hearing none, any deliberation by the board?
No, thank you.
We're pretty confident on the second,
I think we're pretty confident,
second
yeah.
go around, so.
Great, thank you, gentlemen.
I'm pausing before we
We haven't
vote.
voted it in.
Right.
yet,
Oh, yeah,
so
sorry.
I'm
don't thank us
pausing.
yet.
Good.
Yeah, I'm
Put
pausing
my
before
cart
we
before my
vote in
horse.
case something else comes to mind for us that we.
You have something?
The motion was to eliminate the assistant director.
Correct.
So that will go away and be
That will
no
go
more.
away.
Okay, good.
The shredder, the job
And
description
then
goes.
by virtue of that, it'll create the vacant JPO, or that vacant position, so that we don't lose a position within the organization.
You just want me to do a third motion, don't you?
No, I am good.
I think that's inherent.
Great confidence.
The third time is charm.
I think it's inherent that that position is
Well,
coming.
I guess that's a question. I don't know if we have a policy around that.
Not that I'm aware of. It would only be if there was a statutory requirement to have a certain position, which off the top of my head, I mean, it's elected positions, I think.
We are a statutorily mandated department, but
Right.
it doesn't statutorily mandate a certain specific
An
number of
assistant director.
people or have a specific ratio of probation officers per
Yep.
clients, but the office in the department is mandated.
Yep.
So then I guess the question is technically, under what policy, rule, authority how would HR know that there would be a vacant position remaining based on our motion?
A vacant?
Yeah, because that's the point
With the
that,
elimination of the,
Because we added two new positions.
and eliminated one.
Yep. So I think that's,
so from a
Pretty clear.
simple math perspective, we can just say we have, from a total number of
a
positions.
-1 to a +2 means that we have a +1.
I don't know about that one. I'll have to think about that one
Like we
for a
said,
minute.
there's a couple of ways to build your math
Exactly.
formula, but as long as you come out with the right answer.
The overall is we are not increasing,
No, not
we are not
common.
increasing any positions. We are not increasing numbers of staff.
No,
We are
but I-
not growing government.
I agree. If you,
We're staying exactly
I
the
agree.
same.
Clear.
Yeah,
If you
we're staying
eliminate one-
exactly the same number of positions that we have now.
Right.
Right sizing and reorganizing the sub-department so it better reflects the needs of the individual department, which will be a more efficient service overall to the county's needs.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that.
Wow, that's a quote.
Did you get that, Lauren?
Spot on.
Okay. Any
Okay.
further deliberation by
No,
the board
thank you.
plus quorum?
No.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Donkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now
On to the next agenda
I
item.
appreciate it. So the next agenda item, and I'll kind of turn most of this over to Devin, but in juvenile detention, we are having a horribly difficult time recruiting. So we kind of have what we would like to propose, as I know that position will increase the dollar amount, I believe, from what, because there's not somebody in that position, so they won't be getting a step increase. The starting wage, I'm assuming, should increase by the dollar because that's the cost of living increase. So our starting pay right now, we start them at 2302. Should then, with that dollar, become 2402, which in itself will help somewhat be as more competitive because I think Kootenai County's starting out at about $26 an hour.
So that's a great question / assumption I want to verify because I have yet to ask HR this question, but with the COLA decision that the board approved with the budget yesterday, it's my assumption, dangerous, that we take the pay scales, a step and grade, and everything shifts by $1 as compared to creating compression by just moving the left side toward the right, but that the whole thing is that, do you know, is that an accurate?
I believe that is accurate. That's my current understanding as well.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me, but I don't think we as a board ever actually talked through that, the functional aspect of how that happens with step and grade
Yep.
with HR.
It's a new table, and all the amounts on that table have been increased correctly to reflect the board's decisions and guidance. It's
and-
not stretching it out to make it harder.
Yep.
And historically, like last year when we got the 3% cost of living increase, that the whole pay scale increased 3%.
Right, and by doing it that way, you don't create artificial compression.
Correct.
Because the whole thing just shifts in kind.
Right.
Correct.
So that was my assumption as well, is then
Yeah.
that dollar, so the starting pay that's now 2302 would now become 2402 October 1. So with that, then I'll turn over to Devin because there is a county policy. So all juvenile detention officers, all juvenile probation officers, and all adult misdemeanor probation officers are required within 1 year of employment to receive their basic certification. County policy reflects that required certifications, once received, you will get 2 step increases based on that required. And then there's also, we have preferred certifications, which county policy reflects should receive, once received, is worth 1 step increase. So everybody we have in juvenile detention has their basic certification, and we have several folks that have their intermediate. What I would like to do this year is to be able to at least compensate those basic certifications. So that way, as we hire new people, those that already have it would get an additional 2 steps increase this budget year. And we have that money in the budget just from the vacancies that we have. We had approximately, $225,000, I think, in our budget left over because of the vacant positions that we've carried all year. And then going
Just on the detention side
just
of the
on the
budget?
detention
Okay.
side, we're not talking probation at all anymore. Like I said, I'd like to do
That's
that
why
on
I'm
that
asking,
side
'cause
too.
I just wanna-
But that will have to wait till next year because I don't have that budgetary
Okay.
flexibility because we don't have the vacancies like we do over there. And then that way, then going forward, when we start to hire new people, they'd start at that $24. They have to complete that certification within that first year and receive that required certification. That would bump them that additional 2 step increases. So then, once they get back from the academy, they have to have worked for us at least 6 months to be eligible for certification. Then they get the additional 2 step increases at that time. It's going to really help with recruitment, and it's going to really help with retention, I would think. Because now there's actually something they can grab onto and some compensation for staying and receiving that additional certification. And then there's preferred certifications that we like folks to have. They can apply to be an intermediate. And there's supposed to be coming this year through our Administrators Association. Their post is creating an advanced certification for juvenile detention officers. So it gives them some ability, some things to look forward to stay versus going, oh, I'm going to move down the road, because they can see what that progression looks like. They know what those timetables are, and they'll know what that compensation will look like.
So is this current policy or this
This
proposed?
is current policy in the current county policy manual.
Okay, so I'm not quite clear on what we're discussing then.
So what I'm proposing is that because we've not been.
Not implemented this
This
policy.
has not been implemented in our department, which I think it has in other departments that have those required certifications.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why it hasn't been, but
Yeah.
it hasn't been. So I'm proposing that we implement it this year, at least on the detention side, so that we're following county policy.
Yeah, I would.
And
think
it
we
also,
have to.
but there's a huge benefit to,
We don't know why
I don't know why.
this policy hasn't been followed.
I don't know
Does that
why.
fall back?
Well, I think it falls back on me, probably falls back on the previous HR director, probably falls
Because I know
on the
there
previous
is,
board.
there is another office that.
I'm
does-
tracking solid waste and assessor's office have made use of this policy, which is available to everybody.
Right, and I
in the
know
county.
the sheriff's
Yeah.
office also, the certifications
Yep.
are a
Yep.
key part. We've had recent conversations.
And I'm
with
sure
that office.
911. So
Yeah.
honestly, I think it was just an oversight.
Okay.
I mean, not to,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I'll blame
Yeah.
myself because it was an oversight on my part because we didn't notice it.
so,
So I'll take the blame.
From a-
but-
sorry, unless you want to go first.
No, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
To me,
don't
I
know why
agree.
We're not following the
So,
policy. from
I agree, we should
this
follow it.
date forth, we shall follow the policy on this.
Well, and do we want to do that on the probation side or or do we need to wait for next year because I don't have the
Do we
budget?
have a problem when we don't follow policy?
Well, this is a policy where you can get it if you qualify. And it's on the department each department to maintain the certification, to show all of that. So it's there, it's available to be taken advantage of, and it's up to each individual department to do that. And we're more than happy to push the buttons to increase people's pay to reflect their certification that they've earned it. So it's available there for everybody to use.
The budget is the issue, though.
So on the detention side, the budget shouldn't be an issue because we're going to carry those empty vacant positions into the
Right.
next fiscal year. If we want to do it for the probation side, we've already caught a cost savings of approximately $35,000. When I crunched those numbers earlier, it was just to get their basic certification, it was approximately between $60,000 and $70,000.
But we
And we could
haven't,
hold off filling that vacant position until after the first of the year, probably around January, and that would about make up for the difference.
but I thought you said we wouldn't realize any cost savings this year on the probation side because of the PTO.
That's for this budget year. So once October 1 starts, that's all closed out. So then we start fresh with this budget year. That's what it's going to
Yeah.
save us for fiscal.
I thought you were saying, though, that you wanted to implement in the current budget year.
No, I'd say we
Okay.
implement this October 1.
This-
We could
this
implement it now,
increases-
we could implement it now on the detention
det-
side, on the probation side, we don't.
On the
We would have to,
detention-
if we're going to do that, we'd have to wait till October 1. And then
I
not
would-
fill that vacant position until probably January or so.
I want to make sure that we treat everybody fairly. So if we just do everybody on October 1st, just to prevent morale issues and stuff, it's like, well, how come they got theirs 2 months earlier?
Yeah, I agree. We should try to
Just
administer the
because.
policy fairly. And I know that we haven't been doing it, and so that's problematic, but we have to work within our means, our budget. And so if we don't have the ability to administer it consistently, I agree that that's problematic.
But we can do it starting October 1st
On the detention, we can do it on both sides, because like I said, we're going to realize about a $35,000 savings by eliminating that assistant director position. And then if we don't fill that juvenile probation officer position, probably, I would have to probably get with Jessica and crunch that exact number to see when we could fill that position. It would probably be sometime after the first of the year, probably roughly February. That would probably realize approximately what we would need then to make up that additional amount to make sure our budget balances at the end.
I would like to see everybody getting what the policy says.
Yeah,
they should be
so
getting.
from the perspective of if we were to implement on October 1st to be in the new fiscal year, then if there was a small shortfall within the actual FY26 juvenile detention budget, I'm sorry, justice services budget, because we've got the two sides, in my opinion, we could reasonably take those funds out of the pool that we've set aside for the benchmarking and corrections, because that's really been, we've said that we have that pool in the FY26 budget to deal with benchmarking and some one-off corrections. And to me, this is a correction of not having consistently administered this policy. And so if we need to utilize some of those funds that we have in that particular bucket to do that, then I think that's one of the appropriate reasons to use those funds.
Or we could promote playing the lottery.
Yeah,
Smoking,
That
drinking,
helps.
and playing the lottery.
that helps, yep. Drink, we don't get anything for alcohol, just
Oh, that's
smoking,
right.
just
Just
smoking the
smoking and playing the
lottery.
lottery.
Gambling.
But that's right. But the drinking probably helps
Right.
people be a little
That's,
more free with
public
the lottery.
schools, right? That's the public school tax.
Yes, yes. Devin, was there anything I missed on that?
No, that's the main thing. It's just, yeah, we currently floated quite a few open positions in juvenile detention, and we are really struggling to try to hire anybody.
Yeah.
Our most recent hire in detention is October of last year.
Okay.
We currently have 5 open positions, and
Yeah.
we're coming up on a year before we're able to hire and retain anybody.
So to that end, the juvenile detention officer position, which was agenda item 3, sounds like there's no action that needs to be taken. It was just confirmation of how the pay scale will be adjusted come the
Yeah.
start of the new fiscal
Yeah.
year.
Yep, and
Okay.
then whether we can implement the policy in terms of the required and preferred certifications.
Right.
Right now, the thing that I'm hearing a lot from new hires, is we hire people and they look at, because right now the starting pay is $23.02 an hour, and people are like, you know, how workable is that? Because
Right.
we're getting
Where do I
a
go
lot-
from here?
We're getting a lot of pushback on that, but if we can bring people in starting at $24.02 an hour and then say, hey, once you go through video, you get certified, everything like that, you can get a certification pay bump. And that's kind of a light at the end of the
Well,
tunnel.
not through FTO, but through post.
Sorry, yeah, they pass probation,
Gotcha.
pass post and all that stuff, and then they have certification pay down the road.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great recruiting tool for us, something we could put out there.
And retaining.
And retaining. Yeah, and retain the talent that we have.
So then it sounds like, without having final numbers, really what we're talking about is being closer to budget neutral for FY26 based on the savings with the reorganization that was just approved, and then looking at the unfilled position, and that'll definitely be a Jessica question.
Yeah, I can get with Jessica and find out about.
Especially if that one has been, I don't know what the right term is, but where we've reduced the dollars held based on how long it's been open.
Right.
That government finance office practice. So it'll be good to confirm with her, but if there is a little bit of a shortfall within that particular budget item, I think that's where we could, as a board, then just look at that benchmarking pool and draw from that.
Are you getting applicants? Or you're-
We are getting applicants, but I'll tell you some of the quality of the applicants we're getting. So we had a young lady apply. She had veterans preference because she'd been in the Marine Corps, and she was discharged, was it medically?
Behavioral.
Some behavioral, but it wasn't dishonorable. But we still had to interview her. So she puts down her past employment, Marine Corps. Her job right after the Marine Corps was State Line Showgirls. Job title, exotic dancer. That's the type of people we're recruiting. We had another gentleman that we interviewed, and his name, we get the law enforcement pass downs of the things. Just came through 2 days ago for a potential domestic on his wife. So we're getting applicants. The good applicants, We had a young lady that we had, she applied, we had an interview set up with her. She had worked in a probation office. She was currently working in a probation office in Missouri. Her and her boyfriend were moving out here. She had a degree in psychology, came for her interview time, didn't show up. No email, no phone call, just ghosted.
And we have.
So that's what we're running into. Finding anybody that's qualified. So I think what happens is we get most of our applications off Indeed. And so I think a lot of people are just flooding the market for their unemployment.
They're all out there.
And then they don't show up. They either don't show up or they're just not qualified, can't pass a background check. I mean, because we're more in line with like the sheriff's office in terms of our background that, I mean, it's difficult. We have to vet them real closely. And honestly, there's a lot of people that can't pass a background. We had two candidates that actually were pretty good. Well, we gave them conditional offers of hire. We always ask them, can you pass a drug test? We put pre and post drug tests. Also, to go to post, you can't have used marijuana within the last year and no hard drugs in the last 3 years. I asked them that question at the interview. We had two young ladies say, oh yeah, I can pass a drug test. Send them over here. Both of them failed their drug test.
Not very honest, huh?
No, it's difficult. Difficult. That's why we're going to be relying on Jonathan to help with some new recruitment strategies.
So my suggestion, Commissioner Corn, would be, I completely agree that we need to come up with a plan to implement the certification pay for justice services, to follow the policy. I agree with, to be sure that we're doing it, applying it evenly throughout both sides of the house, starting on October 1st for the new fiscal year. My preference would be to not vote on this today, but have you work with auditing to come back with the actual final numbers so we understand the budget impact. Not that we shouldn't or won't do it, but we just understand financially how many dollars it may go outside of their budget that we have to commit from another budget line item and shift, just so that we're making a fully informed decision.
Okay.
And then I think we still have time to get that worked out and voted and approved before 10/1, but I'd like to see the numbers
Okay.
before we.
And this policy is actually one of the several on my desk for review. I think the preferred and required as written is
Sounds
actually
reversed.
inverted. If something's required for the job, it should be acknowledged and you should get a bump for having that certification. I see the value moving forward in the two-step coming with the preferred, because that can incentivize people to kind of go above and beyond the bare minimum of what's required. And then it's an extra reward for doing that. So that does, I think, need to be addressed in how it's written. It seems a little backwards now, but this is what we have.
Yeah.
So just so you don't feel like it's a reactionary and trying to
Right.
mess with your conversation with budgeting and auditing, that is kind of on my planning horizon. And if this needs to be done sooner than later, so it's nested within the efforts we're making to make sure that departments that do want to do certification pay moving forward can do it nice and clean with auditing and all that, I can increase this in priority to get, if we need to switch those words, get it approved, so then it's clear guidance for moving into 10-1. I'm willing to, that's easy to do.
Here's my only fear with that. So right now, the adult misdemeanors are the only one of the 3 disciplines that I supervise that have advanced certification. So if we did that, I would have, because I have three POs right now that have the advanced certification, they'd be looking at 5-step increases. Because they would get their basic, they'd get a step increase for their basic, and then each for their preferred. And then several of them are also post-certified instructors, which is also a preferred certification. So they could be, that would be upwards of 7
That could really mess
step
with,
increases.
mess with the budget.
That would be very difficult.
Yeah, and to the.
So make sure we time this
Right.
right.
Well, and to the director's point, I think we also need to clarify, in my opinion, is there a limit on the preferred? Do we define?
Yeah, and maybe
We, the organization, should define what's preferred to the like what adds value to our organization. Just because it's available within the profession doesn't mean it has value to the county.
Right.
And that's where I think we have to be
We
able.
had a similar situation with EMS.
Yeah.
And just because you went and did extra training or extra certificates, that position was not available, that doesn't mean you just automatically move into that. So it's gonna have to be wordsmith.
Yeah, so there'll
So
be
maybe
some-
moving forward, it would be helpful, just, this will need to be a bigger project with workshops with department input, and it probably should it should list by name the certifications. And then it's just a matter of keeping on top of it and updating it when it changes, because that happens, but again, that's what we do. It's
And
the
again, there's
administrative stuff.
like my example of the post-certified instructors, there's different levels of that. So we have like regular certified, post-certified instructors, and then we have high liability post-certified instructors who teach use of force, they teach OC spray. We don't currently have anyone that's a firearm instructor, but our adult misdemeanor POs carry firearms. So we farm that out either with Priest River PD, Druza. So there's different levels of post-certified instructors too. So, I mean, I would say if we're gonna do it, I would certainly think the high liability certifications would have more weight because they teach our ARCON, which is our arrest and control techniques, which is the same. That's the post standard across the board for patrol. For all disciplines that post certifies, that's the same standard.
And this just highlights the beauty of this grade and step methodology, because it's so perfectly in line with what was stated at yesterday's budget hearings of the emphasis and focus on investing in, the workforce of the county. And we've got maximum flexibility and scalability. We can define the differences of the certifications required and preferred. We'll get the department's input, and then we can tailor, what step, how many steps corresponds to which degree of difficulty or seniority. So, I mean, it could be a range of, 5 different steps depending on the level, because we just need to get that input from the departments to understand the complexity, the skill set, the training, everything that goes into that. So, I mean, this is all encouraging because this is maximum flexibility and decision-making to then get after rewarding people for the hard work they do and incentivizing and compensating for retaining skilled workforce and investing in that. So that all sounds great to me.
And you're saying that it would be like tailored to each department?
We would
Could be.
I think we could craft the overall policy so it takes in all of the inputs from each department, and we can tailor it to what the needs are. And it'll be a little bit more detailed. It'll require a little bit more paying attention to when stuff changes. But we have maximum flexibility to dial this in so it's specific and it works, rather than this is just kind of broad and vague.
Yeah.
And second, third order effects are now there's all kinds of budget implications that, well, wait a minute, maybe we can control some of that if we do some work to figure out how to apply it to the specific situation and really right size it and align it so it accurately reflects what's required for the job, what the department needs. Does that answer the question? Make sense?
Yeah, I think
Sounds promising.
that secondary level of definition to say per department, what has value to that department, to the county. And then we may even have to throttle it, govern it a little bit with saying, no more than 1 or 2 preferred per year or something, so that we can work it out budgetarily
Right.
from a planning perspective.
Right. There'll be some probably initial, it'll take work the first go around, but once you right size something
Right.
and get through that initial.
Kind of like the overall budget this year. It was
Right.
a lot more work this year, but now that it's kind of dialed in, it's going to be a lot easier going forward, and it's going to be a much better product, so.
Great.
One last question, because I've actually got to get to court here real quick, and I know you got other people waiting in line. So when I approach Jessica, are we looking at just satisfying the basic certification, or are we willing to look at satisfying the preferred? Because right now, there would only be up to 2, I would only say the 2 preferred, the intermediate and advanced certification, and then we can tackle the post-certified after some workshops. Or are we just looking at satisfying the basic?
I'm personally leaning towards satisfying the basic until HR gets,
Okay.
until we get all dialed in. I don't want to jump too far forward and say, oh, we shouldn't have done this, we should have done it like this.
Okay.
What if we have them run the numbers both ways, just so we can see it? Because the only reason I ask is I still don't know what other departments have done. And so if both have been happening with other departments, then we have that equity issue. So what if we have them run the numbers both ways and we get some information on what's been happening with other departments.
Yeah, and I guess I have some concerns depending on how the numbers are run. That still doesn't mean it's correct to do it that way either.
Yeah, we're not
still
making a
putting the
decision.
cart before the horse.
It at least gives you what the
Because
numbers
you don't
are.
have
Yeah.
your work done yet, do you?
Correct.
Yeah, but my only point is we're not
There's lots
making a
of work to
decision. Yeah, we're just asking for the information. We're not making the decision yet, so.
Okay.
So we'll just get the numbers crunched so you have that information, and then that'll help you guys to move forward and make decisions.
Okay.
Down the road.
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we have no action on this one. You guys are going to go do some more
Yep,
number
yep,
crunching
I'll
for
stop
us
by
and bring
real
it
quick and
back.
see if I can set up a time for
Perfect.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Jessica. It'll probably be in the morning before I get those, because as soon as I gotta drop him off, grab my bag. and
Get to court.
Straight to court.
Well, you got to stop talking then. It's
I know.
It's 2:04. This
See what
meeting's
happens when you
adjourned.
get me wound up, and then you can't shut me in? That's what happens. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
You just couldn't hear me.